in circles. We talked previously about central angles and about inscribed angles. These angles are all different. In this first section, you'll see that we have a tangent right here and a chord intersecting. Where they intersect, two angles are formed, angle 1 and angle 2. And angle 1, you'll notice its arc right here is in red, arc AB. Angle 2 has an arc in blue here, arc ACB. In each case, the angle, see here, the angle is half of the arc. So the angle is the smaller one. So keep in mind, if you have the angle, then you're going to double it to find the arc. If you have the arc, then you're going to half it to find the arc, the angle. So the angle is half of the arc. So angle 1 goes with this 210-degree arc. The arc is 210. We have the arc, so we have to have it. Half of 210 is 105 degrees. So 105 degrees would be the measure of angle 1, whereas in the next picture we have the angle, and we're looking for the arc. So if we have the angle, we're going to have to double it to find the arc. So we double 98, we get 196 degrees would be the measure of the arc. In the next section, we have two chords intersecting each other. If we look at this picture here, angle 1, its arc is DC. Now, angle 1 is not a central angle nor an inscribed angle, so we can't use either of the previous two sections worth of notes. Instead, what you have to do is you have to look at its vertical angle, and we know angle 1 and its vertical angle are congruent. Look at the arc made by its vertical angle, the arc AB. If you want to know what the measure of angle 1 is, you have to take both of those arcs, DC and AB, add them together, and we take half of that. So it's really like finding their average. The average of those two arcs will make up angle 1. Meanwhile, angle 2. Well, angle 1 and angle 2 together make a linear pair, so they add to 180. So if you know one of them, you could subtract it from 180 to find the other one. Or we're looking at arcs. Angle 2 has its own arc, arc BC, and its vertical angle has the arc AD. So if you want to find the measure of angle 2, you can average those two arcs together. Measure angle AD plus the measure angle BC, half of that would give you arc 2. So let's look over here at this picture. We're looking to find the measure of X, or this angle here. Its arc is 156. Oops. And its vertical angle's arc is 130. So the vertical arcs are 156 and 130. You add those together, we take half of that. If you add 156 and 130, you get 286, and we have to take half of that, so we get 143. That would be our answer for X. In this next section, the last section, you'll see on the bottom there are 3 examples. Each of them do the same thing. It's just that we might have 2 secants. Remember, secants cut through the circle. So you have 2 secants. Maybe you have 2 tangents. Tangents don't cut through the circle, they just touch the circle. Or maybe you have a secant that cuts through the circle and a tangent that just touches the circle. In either case, if they all come from a common external point, we have an angle that's created here. It's talking about angle 3 here. What you're going to do is take the 2 arcs. There's an arc on the inside or closer to it and an arc that's a little further away. You're going to subtract those 2 arcs. So the bigger one minus the smaller one. So the one that's further away minus the closer one. Subtract those. Half of that equals the measure of your angle. That's the same for each of these 3 pictures. They all say the same thing. You might use different letters, but they all say the same thing. So as we go over to this picture on the right, the angle is X. And all these formulas say the angle equals, so the angle is X, it equals half of the difference in the arcs. So we have to subtract the arcs. So the arcs we see, one of the arcs is 76, one of the arcs is 178. We have to subtract those. So take the bigger one, the one that's further away first. From it, subtract the smaller one or the closer one. 178 minus 176 is 102. Half of 102, you can either take 1/2 times 102, or you could take 102 divided by 2. We get 51.